Vasili Tziolis grew up in Westport. He played football and basketball at Staples, graduated in 2012, and then graduated with a degree in business management from the University of Connecticut. Growing up in the restaurant business, it was natural for Vasili to manage them on the East Coast and then in California. In February 2020, he moved back and began working at the Sherwood Diner again, which he had done throughout high school. Anyone who's been to the diner, and that's pretty much everybody in Westport, knows Vasili. Today we'll get to know him a little better. Vasili, welcome to 06880, the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
Sure. So let's start at the beginning. What's the backstory to the diner?
The diner. So as you could see on the sign, established 1977. The diner was actually built off premises back in the day. I guess that was the traditional way of, building diners. For the longest time, it was built off site, brought to the Post Road in 1977, and it's been a family business ever since.
It's one of the most popular places in Westport. Why?
I think for a couple reasons. Number one is you have to be there for the community. And 45 years and counting, that definitely plays a role in that. And all the people that have worked for us over the years, along with a great town like Westport. People really appreciate that community feel. And may sound cliche, but when they come in, you treat them like family. It's not like working in New York City where you may see someone one time and that's it. You really see a lot of the guests and families that come in 3, 4, maybe even 5 times a week. And you see them grow up, and it's a little deeper relationship than just any other place, I would say.
People come 5 times a week?
Yeah. There are people that come 7 times a week. Obviously, that doesn't speak for everybody, but that's just the type of place it is. It could be a quick in and out 20 minutes type of thing. Before kids' soccer game, before basketball game. So there's so many different ways, people use the diner, or even as a meeting ground. And that's the fun part about it.
The people who come 7 days a week, do they order the same thing all the time?
Surprisingly, no. When they come in, you try to anticipate what they're going to have, and there definitely are those regulars and guests that, second they step foot in the door, you know exactly how you're taking care of them. But sometimes they throw a little curveball on you.
What's the rhythm of the diner? From opening to closing, how does a day unfold?
As everybody knows, it's changed a little, just like everything else the past couple of years. But right now, we're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. During the week, definitely different than the weekend. Weekend, you got to be ready to go from pretty much start to finish. There's just a lot more going on. A lot more people are out and about. But in the morning, it's nice and laid back. People are in and out, smaller groups of people. Come lunchtime, you're always expecting some sort of quick rush. The diner can go from empty to full in a matter of 5 minutes, which is one of the biggest challenges, but one of the most exciting and exhilarating parts of the job.
Any downtimes?
Yeah, thank God for the downtime. Definitely in the afternoon, 3 to 5, 2 to 4. Usually get a couple hour of a little transition in the afternoon, which makes things a lot more manageable. But when you don't get that, that's one of the hardest parts, I would say, about the job.
And in terms of people who come, is it all of Westport? Do you get a lot of I-95 traffic? Who are the regulars and who are the occasional customers?
Yeah, so it's definitely hard to tell, but the ones that stick out, it's definitely Westport. Westport supports us the most. It's changed over the years, I would say, with people coming off the highway, I-95, just because I don't know the exact reason. Maybe it's partly due to the development of these rest stops on the highway, and then being off the highway, there still is. I mean, how long is that connector? It's not exactly the most, convenient on and off. So people are looking really for something quick for those that are traveling. But things that stick out, definitely the Westport families. I'm sure there are surrounding town supporters as well, but that's the biggest thing. The high schoolers, sports programs, even their coaches. And those are the most familiar faces you would see.
I got to tell you, I have a great diner memory from 2009. And I was coaching the Staples boys soccer team. We had just won the FCAC championship in Norwalk, came back to Staples, and it's 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
Everybody's still amped, and I said, "Let's go to the diner." So they walked into the diner. They had their championship medals, on around their necks, and they walked in, and there were a lot of kids from Staples who had been to the game, and everyone in the diner stood up and applauded. One of the most memorable evenings of my life.
Yeah, myself included. I played football, as you said, and basketball for Staples. Anytime you had a big win, where are we going after? The diner. Milkshakes, burgers, tenders, the classics. And it was more than just celebrating. It was a meeting ground for, the fans, the players, the parents, and everyone. Just a good way to celebrate.
So do you do anything to make that happen, or is it just something that is organic?
From growing up and seeing it over the last 10 years, I would say, I think it's organic, but I think what you do to take care of these families and guests over the weeks of, just during the week where they don't have a game, all of that really builds up, and I think it just creates a comfortable place for them to come and get together.
You've got those photographs now
Yeah.
of old Westport. I think you put them up during COVID.
Yeah, so that was part of our, I guess, minor renovation. We had no intention originally of doing that, but as we got notice that we were going to be closed longer and longer, we started making a few more and more changes. And one of that was, all right, we're going to change X, Y, and Z, but how do we still maintain a sense of community, specifically Westport? And I don't know exactly how it happened, but we got in touch with Miggs Burrows, which I'm sure everybody knows in town, and he really helped us kind of make that happen. You have the old Westport photos in the actual restaurant, and then in the vestibule waiting area, you have the old and new. So it's kind of cool that you can see, what things looked like and what they look like now, especially for people that are new to town. But those that have seen it happen over the years they get really excited. You see them before they come in or before they leave, and they're always asking questions about it. So I think it worked out well by creating that sense of Westport community.
So you came back to the diner in February of 2020. Timing is everything.
Timing's everything.
A month later, COVID hit.
Yep.
What was that like?
It was, obviously it wasn't planned, but just like everyone else, no one knew what was going to happen. So looking back, it seems a little bit crazier the way it played out, but we just really took it 1 week at a time.
Did you close?
We did not close, but obviously we weren't open for dining in. And that's when a lot of the changes, physically to the restaurant, there's never a good time to do it when you're open all these long hours and, busy throughout that time, that every week we're like, okay, this week we're going to tackle this. Next week we're going to tackle that. And next thing you know, I've lost track, but it was a couple months where we were able to make necessary improvements to the place. But
And you had to adapt with.
yeah, it was even being around. It was the hardest thing was, although you're around for 40, 45 years and you have a good pulse on everything leading up to that. Once that happened, everyone was back to day one. No one knew how to navigate that. And, you know, I think it's a blessing in disguise. Nothing good about it, but it really gave us the opportunity to refocus, all right, how we're going to approach things going forward. And, and I'm happy the way things played out.
You pared down the menu, right?
Yeah, that was one of them. That was one of the major changes. And it was interesting how it happened because when we pivoted to takeout only, obviously, again, we were starting from scratch. Our whole 5, 6, 7 page menu before is just, that was out the window. So we started, I think, with like a dozen menu items. And then as things improved, as we expanded our hours, every week I added a couple and a couple and a couple. And then eventually, we recreated a abbreviated menu when we started doing outdoor dining. And that's been what we've kind of played with ever since. A lot of it, yes, there are things we got rid of, but a lot of it is just a consolidated version. Some people come in and, they're a little alarmed to see it like that, but anytime I ask them what they're looking for, most of the time it's on there just in a different way.
What are the most popular items?
Popular items, everyone comes for their omelets. Everyone comes for their pancakes, their clubs, and salads. Traditional American food. But the best part is it's not just at 8 a.m. in the morning. It could be at 8 p.m. at night. And that's what we offer. Breakfast, lunch, dinner all day, which is, makes things exciting.
Staffing. I've heard it's pretty tough these days to hire.
Yeah, it's definitely what you hear out there is it's definitely a real thing. But it's kind of one of those situations where you have enough. It's just one of those industries and jobs where at the end of the day, you have enough people until you don't. There were times where we were overstaffed for weeks or months at a time. And that's just kind of the new angle we have taken. Whether 5 years ago we would have had a couple less employees, now we're erring on the side of having a couple extra if we can, just because it is a little tougher. So when you find somebody that is a good addition to the team, we believe that it's worth spending that extra time and training and helping them out. But right now we're in a good spot. Part of that is due to the reduced hours operation, which that's a tough thing to transition with because a lot of people were so used to coming.
It was 24/7.
Yeah, it was 24/7, and that was the expectation. And that's partly why I think that's part of the diner brand. That's kind of what built it up. But things have changed in town. There's there's a lot less going on after 9, 10 o'clock. But it's helped us stick around and be able to continue to serve the community despite all those staffing challenges.
You made that decision to cut the hours before COVID, right?
Yeah. So it's been, I want to say at least 15 years ago, the 24 hours was reduced to more of a limited. I think it was just Friday and Saturday was 24 hours. During the week, we were open till about 11:30, 12. And just like the menu, we've added things and taken them off gradually over the weeks and months. That's the same thing that we did with the hours operation. And, we try to stay proactive with that. It's hard to please everybody because it's really hard turning people away when it's 9 p.m. and they're counting on you for a good meal. But we're working with what we have right now, and the most important thing is that we're able to be there to serve everybody. And if that means we can extend our hours in the future, we will.
It's interesting when you mention that there's less going on in Westport these days. I remember being in the diner at 2 in the morning, and there was, you had the drag queens from the gay bar next door, you had truck drivers, you had high school kids, and everybody was sort of just hanging out at the diner at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, and myself included. I mean, even when I was in high school, we did the same thing. So I do feel for everybody, who, maybe they're looking for us to be able to be there for them at that time. Because it was a great time, growing up, meeting your friends there, and just having a place to really get together at those off hours, which there wasn't much else in town to do that.
It's been there for generations.
Yep.
You're a restaurant guy. You've been in around restaurants all your life. What's the restaurant scene in Westport like now, generally?
Oh, I mean, I love what's going on. Every week, if I can, me and a couple friends, we try to check out a new restaurant in town, especially with all the new openings going on downtown and along the Post Road. I think it's exciting. It's what people in town like to do, and it brings a little more energy even for the people from the surrounding towns. So I really like where things are at as far as the Westport dining scene, and I grew up in Westport. I work in Westport now. Although I don't live in Westport, I do make the 20-minute drive this way just to be able to be a part of that on my days off.
Favorites?
I mean, I'm sure everybody would say, Don Memo is one of the greatest new additions to town. Where else? I spent some time Bar Taco. I think it's a lot going on in the downtown Westport, especially in the summer. Overlooking the water. Maybe having a cocktail. Some nice appetizers during the day. It's a good feel to be around here in the summer, and I frequent. I think I would frequent them all. Try to try something new every week.
We were talking about Truly Greek.
Yes.
Right over the Norwalk line.
Yep. I guess we can squeeze that into the Westport dining scene, right? Great fast casual spot. I think they've been there for about 6 years, and I feel like we're all used to the fast casual Chipotle or Qdoba or Mexican offering, which is great, but it's something that's a little unique in the area. It's approachable Greek American food, and it's a good spot. Whoever hasn't checked it out, it's definitely worth the trip.
And he's a friend of yours.
Yep.
From
growing up over the years, George and his family. I grew up. I knew him. I don't even know at this point. 15, 20 years. Grew up going to church with him. Played basketball together at the church. We both grew up in, restaurant families, and I think that's how we've, sparked the interest in the business. And it's good supporting each other and seeing each other do well.
So, what is it about Greeks and diners?
I think it's just taking care of other people. Obviously, when a lot of the Greeks, my parents included, immigrated from Greece to the United States, there were limited options as far as, okay, what can you pursue professionally? Maybe you didn't have a college degree, and I think that's just one of the things where one day someone got involved, they found success with it, and that really inspired a lot of people, including my father and his current partner. They've been working in not only Sherwood Diner for 35 years, but they've been involved in restaurants and diners for since they were teenagers, and it was a comfort zone for them, and it's something that you see to this day.
Is there a Greek community? I know there is in Norwalk. Is there a Greek community in Westport?
I would say less. Most of the Greek community I knew growing up was me and my cousins, just by chance. But everything's close enough between Fairfield, Trumbull, Norwalk, like you said, where you feel like it's all one big community, and there's a lot of familiar faces, especially growing up in the different churches and doing events through that. You really got to meet a lot of people that some of them ended up moving to Westport, and then some of them ended up moving surrounding towns, which is good.
So as you look back at your years in the diner, starting in high school, any memories stand out as, this is why I do what I do?
It's just, it was the comfort of people wanting to go there. I kind of tried to push it away at times because I would work there. It was my family, and I was like, all right, let's not go to the diner today, guys. But every time we were out, somebody was like, all right, we have to go to the diner. We have to go to the diner. And then, over the years, you just, you kind of take pride in it, and, it's something that people enjoy. So I think that's part of the reason why I, found interest in it. And people really appreciated what we did for them there.
I know they appreciate it during power outages.
Yep.
We had, Sandy, we had Isaias, a couple of other storms, and every time it seemed the place to go for food or ice or whatever was the diner.
I want to say my first shift ever working there was during Hurricane Sandy. And
that was 10 years ago, this month.
I think, yeah. So I think that was one of my first shifts working there, if not second or third. And I mean, it was crazy. A lot of people ask, oh, do you have a generator? And we don't. For some reason, we were just able to be there for everybody in town. And I remember, I don't know how long it lasted, but at that time we were open all night, but we had to close at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. because simply ran out of food for I think a 3-4 day stretch at least. But I mean, it was fun. It was crazy, but it was fun. It's one of those things where, high stress and a lot of people are counting on you, but that's something that you really, learn to like and enjoy.
I have one other diner memory, and that's also with the Staples soccer team. In December of 2020, we could not have a banquet. We usually have it at the Norwalk Inn, and people couldn't gather. Yeah. So we had our banquet outdoors at the diner. You had those tables set up. You had a tent. You had some heat, but it was a Sunday. It was about 4 p.m. It was the first week of December, and it was really cold. Yep. Our teeth were chattering, but we gave out awards, and people came into the diner. They walked up the steps and saw us there, and they just couldn't believe what they were seeing. But there again, it's the diner being there for people.
Yeah, and that was an interesting time because it was good hearing from you and others that they wanted to set something up. Especially we were still in that, uncertain time. But to see, Westport, especially a sports team from Staples, really come back and rely on the diner to provide that setting for them, despite all the challenges, that was a good feeling. And yeah, I remember it was freezing, but everyone was happy to be there. It was well worth it.
It was nice.
Yeah.
So last question. We look ahead. What's the future for the diner? Any changes? Anything you'd love to do if you could do it? And is it going to be here for another 40 years?
I think another 40 years, I think we can make that work. As far as changes go, it's interesting because, being around for so long, you have to be cautious of what changes you make. So by that, we take the approach of one thing every week, one thing at a time. Nothing drastic. I don't anticipate anything drastic changing over the years. We definitely like to hear feedback from our guests. We try to introduce new menu items and try to maintain those diner classics that we've had all this time. I'd love to figure out a solution for outdoor dining. I don't know if we have that, but that would probably be one of the biggest changes if that was allowed. But next 40 years, you can expect the same old diner that you have right now, and available breakfast, lunch, dinner, a lot of your classics, and we hope to just continue to be there for Westport.
Well, the Sherwood Diner has been there since 1977 for Westport, and Vasili Tziolis, thank you for letting us sort of peek behind that kitchen door and see what's there.
All right, thanks for having me, Dan.
My pleasure.